What's up, Lost Boys? Fantasy Week 1 is finally over, and some of you guys wanted a recap video of the week, so I'm going to try to send that out every week. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. So let's get this one started. We'll start with the first matchup. It was pretty much the game of the week based on point totals. It was Pat versus Cass, and it lived up to the hype. Cass started out really, really hot. He had a really good potential to win. McCaffrey was doing his thing. Stafford was doing better than I thought. He only ended up with 14, but he still did really, really well. So he was probably riding high after those noon games, and then Pat came back in the 3 o'clock games, and boom, Tyreek Hill went nuclear. He had almost 40 points, the highest score of the week in fantasy, put Pat over the edge. Cass had a slight chance to come back on that Sunday night football game, but unfortunately, CeeDee Lamb took a dump because Dallas's D did all the work. So Pat takes the victory in that one. Pat's team and Cass's team are both looking pretty strong. Next game, we're going to go to Josh versus Justin. This one didn't have a lot of touchdowns in it, didn't have a lot of fireworks in it. Josh took the victory. His guys got decent amount of yardage. Justin Jefferson did his thing, except for especially in the first half. He had, I think, like 7 catches for 140 yards in the first half, got him off on the right foot. Cousins played really bad, had 3 turnovers, but not as bad as Justin's quarterbacks, and that was the story in this one. Burrow and Allen, I mean, they just were awful, especially Burrow. I was watching Red Zone, I was waiting for Burrow to start cooking. Higgins never even caught a ball. And that was pretty much the story here. Justin looked like he was making a slight run at with Aaron Jones. He was the number, I think, 3 running back this week, maybe number 2, but either way, it wasn't enough to put him over. Justin just couldn't get enough from his quarterbacks, which surprisingly were his first 2 picks. I don't see that happening too often. Justin's team isn't as bad as his score would implicate. So Josh takes a dub on that one. After the next one, we're going to go with Cal versus Matt. Really close game. Really, really close game. This one actually came down to the Sunday night football game. Cal had Pollard. It was simple as that. Matt's team looked really good. Sam Howell did okay. Anthony Richardson got him over 20 points for his rookie debut, which is what you're wanting. Mike Evans surprisingly did good. Keenan Allen did pretty good. Matt had Bijan Robinson. This had to be frustrating for Matt. Bijan did good. I mean, he got him 15 points, but he could have had him a 30-point game if Arthur Smith wasn't taking dumps and handing it to Tyler Algier every game, or every down. What probably cost Matt was he tried to get cute. To be honest with you, he put Taysom Hill in his flex spot, got him 4 yards, or else he probably would have won. I don't know why he put Taysom Hill there, but either way, on the flip side, Cal's team did not start off good. Mahomes got him 19, not bad, but not Mahomes worthy. Amari Cooper didn't do good. Deshaun Watson didn't do that good. But he did really good. He got really good from Pollard. His kicker got him a decent amount of points and ended up getting 125 points and squeaking it out. Pollard looks like he's going to live up to the hype. In future weeks, Mahomes is going to perform better. Jalen Waddle is going to perform better. Cal's flex spots were his weakness going into the season. They did okay. Mooney caught a touchdown, which was big. I don't see that happen. I think Justin Fields may have about 4 touchdowns passing total the whole year because he's terrible. So I'm glad Mooney got one for Cal, but Cal takes a dub over Matt in a close one. Next, we're going to go to Denny versus Jace. This one looked like the Turdfecta of the week. Both guys were the lowest scoring guys all week, and then Sunday Night Football came and that all changed. Dallas's D got Jace 37 points, the second most defensive score in fantasy, I think, in the last 30 years. So Jace was loving that. But it did not start off good for either of these guys. Jalen Hurts, really disappointing for Jace. For some reason, Jace started Zach Charbonnet, which we knew Jace's weakness going into the season was running backs. Dak Prescott took a dump on Sunday Night Football as well because the defense did all the work. But his wide receivers, that was a strength starting into the season. 3 of his first 4 picks were wide receivers. Diggs, Olave, Ridley, all did really, really well. So that was Jace's strength. Denny on the other side, I can't find a strength. I mean, he went heavy on the Jets this year. Denny, I love you, but they crashed and burned. Dalvin Cook was overshadowed by Breece Hall big time. Breece looks like the stud he was last year. We know what happened with Rodgers, which was terrible for your team, man. Garrett Wilson, he had you 12 points because he had the best touchdown catch of the weekend. So the kid's a stud, but now he's getting the ball thrown to him by Garrett Wilson. We'll see how that ends up for his long-term future this year. Najee's dumping. Kenneth Walker did okay, but in general, I'm pretty sure Denny had one touchdown the entire week, and that was the Garrett Wilson one-handed touchdown. It is the least amount of touchdowns I've ever seen in a fantasy. This is including quarterbacks, mind you, including quarterbacks. Lamar was terrible, absolutely terrible, and like I said, Rodgers. So Denny had one touchdown, and he couldn't do it. 75 points is one of the lower points we've ever had in our league. So maybe he'll bounce back next week. Jace takes the dub this one. And last but not least, we have Tim versus Ryan. Another close one, especially going into the Monday night game. Monday night game, Tim had Breece Hall, and he needed to outscore Gabe Davis, which could have been a really close game. Usually, Buffalo was favored. Buffalo was supposed to be awesome, and then Josh Allen died on live TV. So Gabe Davis, he had 32 yards, 4 points, wasn't bad. But the big surprise was Breece Hall. Coming back from injury, didn't even get a touchdown, still got him 15 points. The guy is a freaking stud. Got Tim 15 points. Other than that, Tim hit the jackpot with Tua, had 27 points, over 400 yards. That was the real thing. And surprisingly, Michael Pittman gets Tim almost 20 points with a touchdown. I don't know how often that's going to happen, but he got him the dub this week. Ryan on the flip side, Fields didn't look good. Russell Wilson didn't look good. DJ Moore with a stack with Fields, that didn't look good. Ryan started off the week insanely good because Brandon Ayuk in the first 20 minutes of the week was catching touchdown after touchdown. So it looked like Ryan was going to take the victory. And then even in the 3 o'clock games, Eckler came out balling as well. So Ryan had the number 2 wide receiver behind Tyreek and Ayuk, and he had the number 2 running back in Eckler. So Ryan's heavy hitters, they did really well. Unfortunately, the other guys, they didn't do. Ryan still scored 127 points, so he did good. Tim just eked out the victory because his boys performed a little bit better. So both teams looked really strong. So that's the recap from week 1. Actually, it was a pretty good week. Pat and Cass had a nice battle. There were some teams that fell flat on their face. Justin's quarterbacks, Denny's entire team. I'm interested to see what happens next week. It's going to be really interesting because, like I said, fantasy, you never really learn anything until after about 4 weeks. Plus injuries, knock on wood, haven't really hit yet, which is important. Let's hope they don't hit. This week we got a couple matchups. I'm going to run through them really, really quick. Josh versus Tim, the only matchup of 1-0 teams, so technically the best match of the week. I think Tim takes this one because he got the huge dub last week without Kelsey. He gets Kelsey back more than likely this week. Chiefs are going to be pissed. Jacksonville has a good offense, so it's probably going to be a higher scoring game than last week, and I think Kelsey gets at least 20 points for Tim and puts him over the top against Josh. Josh's 2 guys, especially Jefferson, they're going against the Eagles. Eagles have a great defense, and it's on a Thursday Night Football, which we know can be sloppy. I think that hurts Josh. Tim takes the dub in that one. You got Cass versus Denny. 2 0-1 teams, surprisingly. I love both of these teams after the draft. Cass loses to Pat last week. Denny's team dies in a car wreck. So I think it's going to be closer than people think, but I think Cass takes it. I think Cass's team's really good, and Denny's team is just injured with the Rodgers. The Rodgers effect is going to hurt Denny for a couple weeks until he gets some of that stuff figured out. So Cass takes it. The only way Denny has a chance, I think, in this game is if Lamar goes 2019 style and gets it like 37 points. The next one, you're going to go with Pat and Justin. This game's interesting because Justin's team barely put up 100 points, and Pat's team went off last week. I think it's going to be a way different story. So one thing is for sure, Bill Belichick is one of the best defensive coaches in the league. He always has been, and I think he's going to do really well against that Miami offense this week, which is going to hurt Pat. Tyreek Hill's unguardable, but I don't think he's going to put up insane numbers like he did last week. And on the flip side, Justin, you have Burrow, you have Allen. They combined for 12 points last week. That's not happening this week. I think they're going to come back with a vengeance. And I think upset of the week, Justin takes out Pat. I think his quarterbacks each go for 25, and they eke out a win over Pat. Next game is going to be Llama versus Cal. Llama versus Cal this week. Really, really good game. Cal 1-0, Ryan 0-1, but Ryan actually did outscore Cal last week 127, and then Cal scored 125. So it's going to be really, really even matchup. Ryan needs more from his quarterbacks. It's just as simple as that. Now, is he going to get it? We're not really sure. Russell Wilson, we'll see. He has Brandon Ayuk, which looks like Purdy's #1 target, which is huge. And then Eckler's the man. Eckler is dealing with an ankle. We're not sure exactly what's going to happen there, and that's going to be the deciding factor this week. I don't know. Ryan's team was so high ceiling after the draft. He had Jonathan Taylor. He's still not playing, and I think without his 3rd-round pick and Jonathan Taylor, and with Eckler dealing with an ankle, he may not play, may or may not play, or may be limited. I think Cal takes this victory. Cal's team's really strong. He won last week. He has Mahomes. Mahomes is going to be pissed this week. He gets Kelsey back. Pollard's really, really good. So I think that's a really, really good game, but I think Cal takes the dub. And finally, you got Jace versus Roman. 1-0 Jace versus 0-1 Roman. Jace got a lot from his wide receivers last week. I think that continues. I mentioned how much I think Allen is going to do this week. I think that's going to help Diggs. I think Diggs goes for 20+. I think Olave gets his first touchdown. And I think Ridley gets some garbage time points against the Chiefs because they're going to have to score with the Chiefs being pissed. So I think Jace's wide receivers, they put up close to 60 points combined with all 3 of them. Matt, on the other hand, I'm not sure if he can keep up with Jace's wide receivers. I mean, he has Anthony Richardson. He's starting Daniel Jones this week. It is against Arizona, so Arizona's terrible. Daniel Jones might do really, really well. Anthony Richardson could do really good. Bijan is #1 picks going against Green Bay D. Green Bay D is really good. We'll see. I think Jace takes this one. I think his wide receivers are too strong. I think Hurts gets back to being Hurts against Minnesota's awful D. And I think Jace starts the week off on the right foot with a 25+ point game from Hurts, and then he just keeps it rolling with his wide receivers. So those are my predictions, guys. That's a preview. Hope this video wasn't too long. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will talk to you guys soon. Love you.